Hi, this is Christy doing Group 1, Week 3 moderator video. I'm not sure what happened to our person, so I'm going to go ahead and step up and do that so that we have one. And here we are. Our group had two questions. First, with the first reading, describe the relationship between life-sustaining functions and demographics discussed by White. How do different groups have such different experiences of hazards from life-sustaining functions? And I think we all kind of had a lot of the same points here, being that most of the environmental toxins, environmental hazards, end up affecting minority groups disproportionately, particularly African American communities, Latino communities, and Native American communities, as White notes. These are a variety of different pollutants, whether it's land, air, water. There are most definitely noticeable, in the statistics that he gave, very noticeable differences in racial and ethnic groups in the exposure. Oftentimes, they either for lack of education are forced to take jobs where safety may not be a priority or as much as a priority, and so training in these areas are not really up to the standard that they need to be. They are subjected to more toxins, as oftentimes these businesses are closer to their homes, in addition to being the jobs that they're taking. You also see a lot of environmental discrimination as far as location of things like landfills, power plants that are in a more, I guess, economically challenged area as opposed to 90210. So, in addition to possible safety issues in the workplace, exposing them to higher levels of toxins, you have lack of education, and you also have a language barrier possibly in some instances, especially with Latino populations, whether legal citizens or not, whether or not their ability to speak English well enough to understand different safety measures in the workplace is there. So that's question one. Question two, looking at ecological society in Buchan's reading, and it says, according to Buchan, what is the role of utopian visioning for creating an ecological society? And I think that we all noted it was a little bit of a difficult reading, but it was very interesting. We noted that first there is a lack of, when he's talking about utopian society, reinforcing the fact that there is a big disconnect now between humans and the environment around us, that technology has advanced in order to create more opportunities for us, but at the same time, technology has also separated us from one another and from the environment. And of course, the great example given, texting, tweeting, updating Facebook posts, and other such ways that now become forms of communication. So that tends to separate us more, not just from the environment, but from each other. Also, making choices to be more connected. Doing things that we need to do in order to be closer to the earth, for instance, using a co-op farm for food instead of going to the supermarket. So that's an alternative to kind of get us reconnected back to our roots, back to being part of the environment instead of perpetuating the trend that we have been on. We had a note that they Buchan notes 3 things that need to change in order to take us back to kind of where we need to be. First, changing the language from humanity to civilization. Civilization being a word that is more centered on culture and inclusiveness as opposed to the individual. Also, trying to get away from our focus on our personal needs and selfishness. He notes on, this is page 322, we have moderate emphasis on the independence and the individual. And we need to try and move away from focusing just on ourselves and focusing on the greater good. And then lastly, we need to focus more on women's treatment being equals in a society, and more liberation in that front. And so would love to hear from other folks, and I apologize, this is a little choppy, but wanted to go ahead and get this posted. So there you go. Thanks.